Okay, we will. So some of you will who are the frequent flyers from the last Ocean Doodle. You'll notice on this, let me get so you can stay on your, let me take my spotlight off. You can stay on your little page you were doodling on if it's dried. If it's not, get to another page that's dry where you can doodle. And what I did this time, we have them more simplified, and I renamed some things. So I changed a few that we'll use a little bit differently this time. And so we'll move through our basics, and then we'll, as we transition into drawing our seahorse, these are just some little elements that you might want to play with. And I keep putting these in because people who are drawing with me more frequently, they're just kind of building their skills, and they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. So what you'll notice immediately, y'all my journal jumpstart peeps here, you notice looking at this one, you notice immediately 2 sizes of markers, right? You're like, yep. So
oh, I didn't. Okay.
Yes, you did. You did. See, I'm telling you what you notice. You're like, I got it. I got it. I got it. So we will start with our little scales. And they're probably one of my favorite little patterns. Noticing the key parts to notice on this one are going to be where that scale starts and where it ends. So notice we're going to that center spot. And that's what gives them that offset for your kind of mermaid tail look. So in this your second one, or if you're just doing this on paper, just go ahead and like make boxes, or you can just do these doodles wherever. The second row goes to the center. So as you're doodling, you're just always looking for where the line stops and where it starts. So then for this one, we're going to come up here to the corner and come down. And then we're going to come over here. And this first one, we're just going to copy what we have there. Noticing that interior line does not touch that first line we did. So that second one inside. So this is one, I think in the first one, we called this one the rainbow. And so you think of it, they don't converge. So you also think of it as concentric circle types, to where you'd have a shape. The next one's same size but larger, same size but larger, or same size as smaller. So we're not changing them in any way. And then your next one, as you're moving along, I want you to look at that inside and change what's inside in some way. So the first one, you can just think of this as just copying what I did. And then the second time you do it, I want you to change it in some way. So what I'm changing is I'm letting that line touch. So see the difference in that? Over here, they do not touch. And then this other one, I'm going to let them touch a little bit. I'm going to color those in. So that's going to be a second little change. So I want you to do three things that are different. And so those of you that have done like kind of when we were doing the DIY doodles, where I kind of give you a little bit and then I'm like, okay, now you start to add your flair to it. We have that, and then I'm going to drop down. I was using a 9, and so I'm going to drop down to a 5, and I'm going to add vertical lines. And so one of the tricks as you're patterning, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertical lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever you do on that first one, that becomes your pattern. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have about half here. So I'll just do 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh. And then your mind, like the more you doodle, are y'all finding like the more you doodle, the more you're like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And you just kind of keep adding things on. So looking at this one, my mind, I like to have these, I don't know, it just wants to have these little curly cues come out. Maybe it wants little dots coming out of it too. Maybe it wants little dots inside here. Oh, that's kind of cute. So see, just you keep, you're like, huh. Sometimes it's hard for me to like keep the pattern because I like it's can be a challenge to just focus my mind on it because then I want to do something different each time. So just if you do that, like you just lean into it, like either do the first one and do all of them that way, or if you start going like, oh, I want to do these different, make them all different, make every third one different. Switch. So Terry, do you like to switch up or do you find you do one thing and like keep doing that the whole way?
Well, I really like to switch up. But I'll do a lot of one thing before I switch.
Okay.
And then I'll do a lot of the next thing before I switch,
Okay. Cynthia, are you a switcher or are you like you get your groove and you're like, that's what I want to do?
I am transitioning from very linear to going, okay, I can put curly cues in if I want, and I can do rainbows if I want. So I'm starting that, Roxanne.
Excellent. So Pam, what is your style of creating, of doodling?
Well, I'm so new, but I get not bored, but I keep trying to challenge myself, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it. I think I should be sticking more with, constant routine and then branch, but
I don't know. How does it feel to you? Is it like it feels good, but your brain's like, you're probably doing this wrong, but it feels good and your brain's like, you might be doing this wrong?
no, I just get like, it's not bored, but it's just like, I think, well, I should be able to do more. I don't know. It's just a weird, but what I've noticed is everybody develops their own style. And maybe that's what I was afraid of, developing a style, but I'm embracing the monotony in my brain. And it's not monotonous. They're all coming out negative words. I don't know how to describe.
No. I can appreciate that because there's that, oh gosh, what's the other way to think of that? It's that rhythm of it that can be very comforting to where you're like, oh, this is what we're doing for a bit.
Kind of in the flow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people were wanting to see what I was doing at first. And then they would ask like, well, don't you do this? Don't you do that? And I just retreated. And so now I realize I'm not showing anybody anything. It's just for me. And I'm enjoying the process, and that's all that matters. And I know that my heart sings when I learn new things, and I know like what makes it sing. Mm-hmm. And so that's all that matters.
Oh, that's beautiful. And yeah, and the questions that people will ask are not based on kind of what you're doing in your experiences. They're based on their experiences and what they bring to it.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they're like, you're probably doing that wrong. Because like, who would do something like that? You're like, well, Roxanne, because she does like all her art stuff kind of backwards and kind of just doesn't pay attention, never reads instructions. Oh my God. Okay, so Amy, are you you follow it? Are you like kind of just doing your thing up there?
Follow person. My art is going on Pinterest and getting doodle samples because I got this idea. Well, I wonder if Pinterest has doodle ideas. And so I went on there and there's tons of them.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I need to put a link I've got on my Pinterest. I have where I was gathering ocean doodles. I'm glad you said that because I forgot to link that. I will do that in the follow-up because I gathered like ocean doodle kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So yeah, because once you see that, then you're like, and there's such value in trying to replicate something you see. And that's probably another misconception a lot of people carry with them. If you went to school at a certain time where they were like, that's cheating to copy someone, you must close your eyes and just pull it out of your, deep, you're like, no. And so truly the masters, when they learned, they would do apprenticeships. And so there were people who that was part of their training was to learn to paint in the style of someone else.
Yeah,
See,
so I
and
got off of Pinterest.
Okay, let me see it. Let me pin you. Okay. Oh, cool.
let me see.
Let me stop sharing here. Hang on. I got all my little stuff going on. I need a driver here. Okay, here we go. All right, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
A Pinterest, and then I had some of these.
oh,
And
Oh my
cool.
gosh.
so I've just been, here's the latest doodles yesterday that I was doing.
Ooh, look at
Look.
yeah.
See, I figured if I couldn't come up with them, then I wasn't any good at this. But now that's such a permission slip. Thank you. I love
Yeah.
that.
I have a problem with coming with things on my own. I have to see other people's work.
I have to do.
Wow.
I have
Thank you.
to see other people's work.
And what will happen is you see it, and then the way you interpret it, the way you put it together, the things that you love, your experiences, the way you hold the pen, it will become yours.
I love that.
Yeah, it really is of just bringing it together. And there are some amazing like Zentangle types of artists that do a lot of that Zen doodling, and they'll really be able to like bring those patterns in. And, and I try it, mine always turns out crooked. So I'm like, how do they do that so precise? And so that's why my stuff's crooked, just because it just kind of
And
is.
also there's they have YouTube. I've not looked at any of the YouTube stuff because there's some really cool that I would love, but I would need to watch a tutorial on how they do it. But any of them yet.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. It's like once you learn how to learn, then you can like hop into like finding things, because that's the other part. You'll find a lot of different styles, because the way I put together the things that I've been doing are very like, I tell you all the parts of it, because you will find things like there's a platform called Skillshare. Most of their courses will be, a lot of them are like 30 minutes. And so what they'll do is they'll record their hands, and then they'll chop it down, and then they'll do a really simple explanation. So it looks like something that takes them about 10 minutes to do, and it might be 2 or 3 hours. But they don't tell you that. They're like, oh, just make this and do this and do this. And then you're like,
yeah,
there's a middle part there. So I think that's part of what I wanted to be able to share with people, because once you kind of know, and I've done some private coaching things, like even with Procreate and things, to where they're like, I just need that beginning foundation, because then when you have that confidence and you're like, oh, I kind of see how this works, then you're able to go and like start pulling, and you're going to be able to mix so many things together. Yeah. Thanks, Amy, for sharing that. So I will share, let me see, I need to make my note of adding in the ocean doodle board that I have. So if you are on Pinterest, if you're not, go ahead and get your little Pinterest thing, because it's a great way to save like resources and things you find. And especially the good ones, because a lot of them are like little spammy links, and you think it's going to be great because the picture looks good, and it goes over to, I'm like, Carl. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay, let me hop back in over here. Okay, so y'all are moving along as we've been chatting. moving on. Okay, our little waves. These little friends. Are y'all already past this? I've been too chatty. I need to get on to this.
Oh, those splashes.
Holy cow, I am behind. Let me get going. Here we go. So again, knowing that when you see lines that look like they're different sizes, they have switched their pens. Looking at, this is another one you guys have been, I think Pam, this one is again, those little converge ones. Notice where they're coming together. See that darkness? So we have a little darker value here. And so playing with this again, this is one I'm going to draw my first lines that I had here in a different color so you can see.
So when you're making your converge, you're making them different than the waves.
I did. Yeah, because we can do the converge and the waves. That's what we were doing the
Right.
last time. So you can
Okay.
take them from that corner.
No, I thought I figured out what I was doing wrong, but I'm still going to figure that out.
And this one, this is the one where you said, oh, she did it the other way. So this one, I'm just going to I am going a little bit over that line, keeping it very close together. And so what you see where it's very close together, it looks darker when it opens up. So that's one of the ways you get value in your work. Lines closer together look darker, and lines further away look lighter. So, and you can see this one, let me pull that one in. Yep. So see how that one kind of like blends together now. So on the converge one, these are the first. So if you look at it, you might wonder, you're like, oh, which lines did she do first on this one? So the first one's this big line. I did this one here. And then I had this little one down here. And this was just to give us something a little bit different to play with. So this one, instead of them opening to the side, we're going to go into that little corner. And so this one will give us darkness on both ends of it. And then the second one, and so Pam, so see I have darkness on the edges. And then the way I've been looking at it is I want this little space to be dark in here. So that's where I'm going to start my lines and let them move out. And then when I add my next one, I'm going to come from this little corner down here. And so I'll just let those lines come up. So yeah, Amy, it was kind of fun to put the like journal jumpstart and these courses together because it's like a little different from what we can do in just the 3 hours at Lucky Star.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one looks like what kind of whale is that? That kind of has that on the tongue. It's the baleen whale.
Baleen.
Kind of has that kind of little. Mm-hmm. And then as you move into the little swirls, the first ones all are the same where I'm coming down and then I go up and around. So all of those are the same direction. The others were coming from the top and coming in. And so, Amy, this is one that this same little pattern.
Mm-hmm.
depending on whether they go the same way or different ways, it gives you a different look. So these are all coming from the bottom, coming up. These are all up, coming down. And then these are the alternating ones. So as you bring them in, go one from the top, one from the bottom. You can make them larger and curve around themselves more, which gives a little bit different. It'll give a little bit different texture, different looks. So this is a beautiful example here. This is why I broke these apart this time, is so that you can clearly see how grouping them together are going to give you differences in your doodles. And then if you leave more space, then you can come inside with another doodle or come around on the outside with it as well. Can use them to fill in a space. And so when I'm filling in a space, just kind of bring them in. And then our little splashy. I make so many of these. This little shape, I love it. I love it like in leaves. I don't know if I messaged one of you because I was like, I can sit and make circles and these little leafy looking splash dots, like infinitely. Curious, Terry, what's your favorite shape to doodle?
I like sea foam.
Oh, that
I
one.
like the waves too. It just takes me a long time to figure it out.
What are you doing with that one? Cynthia, do you have a favorite that's shown up for you yet?
What
I
is
like
seafoam?
this. I like the scales and the bubble and bubbles.
Okay. Look at the bottom. Let's see. Amy, did you print yours out yet?
Yeah.
Okay. The little sea foam down at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So that one is just the larger. Yeah. So our little bubbles, when we do those, just with these, you're looking at organic shapes. So these are not in a line. So they're just kind of sketched about. You can also use them in a line. If they're in a line, the Zentangle people call them pearls. So if they're the same size and they're kind of lined up, they would say those are little pearls. You can offset them a little bit. Pam, this is where my mind will drift because I'll start being like, see what happens? I tried so hard. I did really well the first time and then I started losing focus. And then you know what's going to happen by the next one? I'm like, you know what? We're just going to put these all over.
Oh,
It's literally what happens to me. I'm like, oh, man. All right. One of the things with the bubbles, you can also I'm going to segment this little guy here so I can show you. Another thing you can do with this particular shape, let's say we were going to line them up, or even if they're offset, sometimes it gives you, well, not sometimes, it will give you an entirely different look to it if you fill in the negative. So instead of filling in the circle, you're going to fill in that negative space outside your little circles or your bubbles. So see the difference in that? So as I take my pen and so that can be really cool. So as we're filling in our seahorse, if you have little spots, you're like, oh, don't always think about just coloring in the thing. Think about coloring in the space behind the thing. So that would be an example of that. And then the sea foam. Yes, sea foam. Just going to be some elliptical shapes, some circle-y shapes. And Terry, when you do sea foam, do you immediately go and like do around the larger one and then fill in between?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
So yeah, so these, I moved down my first ellipses I did with a 5. Write that on the inside for you guys. And then I dropped to I've got an 01. So I dropped a couple of sizes down. I don't know about I don't know that I would draw the first ones with like an 8 or a 9. I think that might be a little bit heavy, but you play with it. And Pam, this is another beautiful space where as you start playing with them, the size of the pens you're using can give this same structure a very different look. And also the speed that you draw the bubbles. Look at the difference here. When I drew these, I was very slow and look how tidy I was being with it. And so over here, you can definitely see the difference in the quality of my line. So see how I'm going like kind of fast and they're not as circular.
I love it.
So those are just little ways to that kind of the way you approach it and just how you put it together will be different, even if it's the same pattern. These can also become little pebbles. So that same type of shape. So let's say your ocean is near some rocky cliffs or something, and you needed to put some little rocks in. You could take something like this. And as you put in the little smaller ones, you can also fill in the space between these. That gives it a little different look. And how you holding of the pen. Let's see, when you do let me click on this. In the module 3, when you're doing the project of the dream bubbles, there's a part where I'm holding my paintbrush very much toward the end of it and like just having it almost vertical on the paper. That gives you an entirely different, you can have it'll make a circle, but it'll be a very loose one. So for instance, if I hold my pen almost at the edge and I'm making these little circles, notice the quality of the line is more energetic. It's a little bit lighter. I'm moving my pen more quickly. And so this is something that if you have the platinum pen and you're adding in those little details at the end, can really be nicely done with a platinum pen. Or this is the 01 micron. So you can like very lightly let that pen move over the paper. And it gives you a different, another different type of line using the same patterns. Is that coming through okay, Pam?
Yeah, beautiful.
So you look at the same thing here. So our like sea foam and bubbles, depending on how fast or slow the pen moves, depending on if you're holding it, if your pencil grip on it is very close to the base, so you're holding it very tightly, or if you're holding it from the tip and just letting it kind of cruise around on the paper. So those are some things that people that, you doodle a lot and you just start exploring with and you learn how, that was a big surprise to me of like how people hold their pen and how they move it across the paper creates different quality of lines. And that's power. Once you start to understand and practice with that, that's when you can really start to bring in different different kind of lines into the artwork, and it's fun. All right.
I
How's
love the way you say it takes energy. It takes a different energy. I love that.
are you noticing that? I mean, because look at that one. This little guy is like all.
Mhm. I love it.
Well, and if you look up sketchbook, I'm fascinated with sketchbooks. So if you look at like Matisse's sketchbooks or Picasso's sketchbooks or Da Vinci's, very fascinating because it is you see different qualities of line. So yeah, that's what I was like. It's absolutely. I think that's what I'm fascinated with because the more you do it, and as you, like I said, as you bring it into, yours will look so different and unique to you. Okay, my friends. So tell me when I'm ready to draw a seahorse. Whenever y'all are. So you just kind of tell me when you get ready.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm already cheating on mine.
Are you cheating on your seahorse?
Yeah, I took this right here and put it on the top of my paper, and you can barely. And I traced it just the outline of it, not the foo-foo on the edges. I'll do that freehand, I guess, but just so I can paper like I want it.
Hang on. You're making.
Yesterday I drew this one freehand.
Oh my
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Your thing. So anyway,
Mhm.
but I did it actually freehand. So I'm proud of myself on that. But
It's okay. So let's see. That made me think of another thing that, as we're talking about cheating, ladies, the light boxes are amazing.
oh yes.
Back in the day, it used to be the light bulb, over the thing. Well, now they're little USB light pads. I think they're probably, you probably get them like $10-12 on Amazon. And so watercolor paper's too thick, but you can literally put your thing down, put the other thing on top of it, trace it, or go to the window, trace things. That has so much value because you're teaching that muscle memory to your hand to make the shape. You're building your confidence in line. You are practicing 100%. Just find a young kid that needs practice handwriting and stuff, give them a pen and pencil and watch them go. And you're like, you need to copy a lot more stuff. All right. Okay. Cynthia, you ready to
Yes.
Okay. And I'm making a note. I'm going to put I'll do the link to the light pad. So I'll put that in the little follow up and do the Ocean Doodle Pinterest boards, light box, other stuff like some little Zentangle-y stuff. Okay. It's gonna be fun. All right, my friends.
You got the Pinterest too?
I got my pen on there. Okay. So to draw our seahorse, those of you that have printed out your little seahorse you're looking at, I want you to look at it, and we're gonna do just as we did on the sea turtle, and I'm going to teach you to orient yourself on the page so that you can draw your little guy freehand. All right. So looking at our little seahorse, first thing I want you to do is take your paper. You have your choice to either fold it or to just kind of sketch on it.
Is this the paper we did earlier?
Take your little, Yep, it should be dry now. If you would just find the center of your paper so you can eyeball it, or if you need to like make your little lines across, you're gonna put a little dot there in the center. And let me switch over because I'm gonna walk you through this. Okay. And I was teasing the other class when when I taught them, I was like, and then I started learning about seahorses, and I just had to like throw in some like what the little parts were just because, and some fun facts about seahorses. Because Terry, I couldn't quit. Like I didn't turn it into a full lesson on seahorse, just enough to help you out at your next trivia night.
There you go.
Awesome.
Our little seahorse that we are going to draw And as we draw this, we're going to go ish, right? So there are some parts of the seahorse that if you see that, you're like, ah, seahorse. And that's what we're going to look at. So the first part, we look at his little body, his or her little body, the little snout over here. If you look at this, it kind of has this little, it comes in a little bit and out. And so I just drew mine as a little circle over here. The little snout is so awesome. It's like a vacuum. That's how they eat. They just they eat constantly. They're always like just vacuuming stuff up. So this little snout part, if you see that, that's part of one of the characteristics that helps you know it's a seahorse. The eye of the seahorse, their eyes work independently. I was like, that's kind of crazy. You notice mine over here that when I stylized it, it kind of has like this little peacock kind of flair to it, actually, when you look at it. So what you'll notice down here on our little seahorses is the eye kind of goes at the end of the snout. So it's not coming back here on his head. So it's kind of close to where the end of the snout is. It's not down here like toward the jaw. So it's toward that top part. So that was one of the things that happened on a couple of seahorses that we were drawing in the other class, was the eye was placed a little too low, and it ended up looking like a chipmunk. So, I mean, he said it looked like a chipmunk, and it did. It looked kind of like a chipmunk. So you want to take your eye toward this top part on the snout. So I called this one the dude because I love this one. The seahorse is the only species on Earth that the male bears the unborn young. Only one. I was like, oh, okay. They're technically a fish, and they are terrible swimmers. And I mentioned they're terrible swimmers because this little dorsal fin here, see how tiny it is? That's why they're terrible swimmers, because this is the little thing that makes them go. So it goes like an incredible amount, and they don't go very far. So they have a hard time moving, but they can go up and down, sideways and backwards. But because of this is why their tail is so curvy, so they can like anchor onto things. Otherwise, if they can't find something to anchor onto, a lot of seahorses die from exhaustion because they're flipping this little dorsal fin and not getting anywhere very fast. So with this, I point this out because see how small it is. If you were going to do something a little more kind of realistically, see, it's kind of like, it's not super huge back here, but look what I did to mine. This one this is artistic license. Look how big, and like all the little curly cues on it. That's not really how they look, but I liked it. And I liked making these little web looking things, and I love curly cues, and it's my seahorse, and it's not for a project. So I did what I wanted to, and that's what I like. Let's see. They have this is their pectoral fin here. Kind of looks like where an ear would be. Notice on mine, I did not put anything on this one because I was just filling him in with those curly cues. So Amy, you see, I just love making the curly cues. I leave off this part because this little part, if you were to glance, you wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, they left off the pectoral fin. I have no idea what that is. It's a small part. I did put it in there because sometimes they will be stylized, like this one has this really kind of like angular, and they'll make it kind of really big. So if you want to, you can. Now the other part here, the cornet, which this is one of the parts that you're like, that is a seahorse. So we will want to include the cornet into our design, because when you glance at it, you're like, seahorse. You don't glance at this and go, oh, octopus. No. So this is, and that's how you take looking at like a real live photo and to translate it into something that's artistic. You're like, what's the essence of it? And so that's what we're going to do, is take the essence of the seahorse, and then we're going to put all our little waves and, our scales and splashies in it, curly cues, and have fun. All right. I give you down here 3 different styles that you can look at. And with these, notice this one is the most simplified. So you can see it does have the cornet, it has our little dorsal fin here. This one has this is called the keel. It has it a little more differentiated, like a little segmentation, does have the tail and the snout. This one is moving a little closer to the kind of realism because they look kind of spiky around. So if you just want to make that one kind of shaky, and this one adds a little more of the spines to it. So just depending on what you want to do. All right. So that now that we've looked at that, let's hop into making our seahorse. So first thing you want to set up on your page is, here's the center of your page. So the center of our seahorse is about here. So if we just look at this, so if that's about the center of our seahorse, I'm going to go ahead and grid this so we can talk in quadrants. I want you to find the center. I want you to move upwards and find, you need 2 points. You need the top point of the kind of his head, and then how far up where you want that like cornet to start, as we're doing around. So you've got 2 points. I want you to just put little dots there. Here's our center. And then looking how far, so we know this is the top. And I want you to look over here. How far out do you want his snout to be? So you're going to put a little dot there. So Amy, basically, we're just kind of gridding this. And this is a great practice for you to learn to orient your art onto a page, because that's what, a lot of times if you don't do this work up front, you end up with no place for the feet or if you're drawing a little human. Notice that in this one, my snout and my tummy are kind of like lined up, that edge of the keel. If you look over here, some of these, the snout is a little further out than the keel.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this is where you just make your decision of what you want yours to look like. So you have our keels coming out here. Where's your snout going to be? Come down to the bottom of it. Where do you want the base of your tail to end up? Put a little dot there. The other part that's going to be helpful to you is when that keel's coming around, you're like, I want that to be about here. Yep. So that'll come out and come in. And then over on this other side, where do you want the edge of the cornet? Would that be? And then we know that along this center line, so we're kind of looking to see where that goes. So with this, you have little dots on your page. So I'm going to look at what mine looks like. And I think the seahorse is fun to play with because it's, there's a lot of leeway in it. So if I were going to do this on my page, I want my top of the head to be about here. I'm going to let my cornet be up there. So this head's going to come out. I want my snout about here. So that's going to be our snout. I'm going to come down. I'm going to let my tummy, like that keel, I'm going to put it inside a little bit. I want the bottom of my tail almost at the bottom. And then I'm going to put another. See, looking at the bottom here, I'm putting this dot here because this space is going to be where we wrap the tail. In this little space here. And then over on the side, I want to make sure I've got enough space there. And artist option to sketch with a pencil, or go ahead and grab a micron and go for it. So completely up to you. Here's a trick. As you are looking at it, the first thing I do is I'm looking over, here's my snout. And so I know I'm going to do this kind of line here. I know it's going to come up. So what I'm doing is just kind of like imagining that I can see it. And I'm lightly moving my pen in that direction. I know that as I come down here, I've got this curve to make. Okay. I know that from the keel, I've got a curve that's coming in here. Okay. And this pausing to really look at your page, the first couple times you do it, your stuff's going to look pretty wonky. The more you do it, the more you start to build these little like rulers in your eyes. And then you will be able to see things and you'll be able to bring them onto the paper. So let's do it. So find your little dot where your little snout's going to go. And we are going to make, looks like a little upside down kind of little bird thing. And then our snout, remember this is like the top of the head up here. So I'm going to have these two lines kind of come up. Not super long. That's probably enough snout there for me. And then I've got the top of the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him come up here. Now, careful on the head, and I'm cautioning myself because we did have an instance where the top of the head was a little too flat. And if it turns flat and you come around, it kind of looks like a cobra. So with this one, I'm looking, we're going to come toward this center. And so if here's my center, see this curve is coming around and it comes in. So I've got this nice curve that we're doing. I'm going to switch over to my pencil so you guys I can draw with it sideways here. So I'm bringing it over, coming out, and then I'm coming in. And then I'm going to let that line just continue, and then it's going to kick out a bit. So it really is, it's almost like just an out, in, and come out. And this last little part, he's going to come all the way down to that bottom of the paper. And then I'm going to let, it's that curly Q shape. We've done that before. Let me bring this up a little bit. Sorry, so you can see the whole thing. That's going to be better. All right. So there's my first line on the seahorse. I'm also going to be very gentle with myself, knowing this is the first seahorse that I've drawn today. And then we're going to move to drawing our next little line. And I'm going to show you how to do some corrections if the lines kind of, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. So let's look at the little snout comes in, so we can have it come up. We can have it come in. Careful on this one, the way this little guy is. See this little curve here that I put? This is where, kind of be careful because it can look like a chipmunk. I think that's why I ended up with curly Q's on him. So this one comes in a little bit flat, and so the others come in a little bit. So let's see. So this little seahorse, I'm going to have him come in. He comes in, and then from here, I wanted the keel to come out this far. And so I'm going to mimic this line. So he's going to come down and he's going to come out. And once I get to that middle part, I'm going to just change direction and start coming back in. See how I'm matching this? I'm coming toward this. And then when he comes down here, now I'm going to keep my space even from this line. So I'm going to come here. And then I'm going to just come in. And there he has a nice little tail. This tail is super fun because you can make it very tiny and very curvy, or you can leave it out some. Amy, how's your freehand seahorse coming?
It's looking good. I don't know if you probably can't see it. It's not dark enough.
Let me see. Show that one again. Let me see.
You see it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, Pam, how's your seahorse coming?
Well, I wanted to do it on paper first. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
actually, for my first seahorse ever, it's, it's
Oh,
not bad.
They really are fun.
Aw,
Yeah.
good.
Wait till you get all the details on. You'll be like, got
I
it.
know. I'm excited to transfer it.
Okay, Terry, how's your seahorse?
It's coming along. My black pen just leaked all over.
Oh,
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I see Cynthia just popped on. So
It's
oh,
so cute.
oh, you did
looks more
good.
like a dragon, but I like them.
Well, they're called sea dragons. So, hey,
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
they the nickname?
Uh-huh.
Seahorses, but yeah,
So
maybe.
you didn't know, and you just did it perfectly.
Isn't that fun? They are
Totally.
they're a fun one to play with here. All right. So, hop back over here. So our little seahorse, this is where I start to look, and you can, because we're doing artistic license on this next one. And this is where, if you don't like the shape of what's going on here, here's the trick. Because you can add another line here. And so this is that little keel. So you can take that and put that little line there. So that's where we do his little belly there, and he looks a little dragony. Okay, Cynthia. So you can add this here. If you look at him and you're like, oh my gosh, look how skinny he looks. I need to put I'm a little beef him up a little bit. Here's what you do. You can just come over here, and let's say, I don't like the shape of this one. So I'm just going to bring this line out, because a lot of times I'll just be drawing with a marker, and I'll just bring another line down, and I'm going to leave this line here. And what I've done is I've made little sections. And so those little sections, what you didn't notice over here, now if you look carefully, once you fill them in with all the doodles, you don't even notice them. So you correct it by just adding lines, and then they become little segments. And so once you have this, like the little body, that's when, oh my gosh, I just play with these. So these little guys here, these little curly cues, I didn't see those exactly. I saw them in some artistic representations, but you can just have fun with it. And that's what I saw you guys doing. So it's you're like, this is where you can also balance. You've got this, see how close mine is to the bottom. So it's about maybe an inch. What I want to do is, if I want to balance up at the top, I can just start to add this in. And so you can bring it down. You could stop it coming out here. Some of the ways to add in what this does is this segments, gives you little spots where you can add your doodles in. I added a second line as my divider. And so that gives me a little, another space to kind of play with. So this one you can bring down. If you want to have a little tiny dorsal fin, you can do that. If you want to kind of stylize it. And this is where, when I say stylize, this is where I just really start like, okay, we already have it. It kind of is seahorse-ish. And then I'm just going to start adding in the shapes that I like. And so for this one, I'm going to do these little round balls. I like those little circles. Oh, so he's taking, and look, and this is drawn by the same person, but it's already taking on, this one has a little different personality look than the first one. And so each of them, they will take that. Now, this is where when you add in the eye, so this is where the eye tends to be here. So we had one that the eye was placed back here, and just that placement of the eye can be kind of, you're like, oh, okay, I want to kind of put that up here. And then you start adding in your details. So I drew this one very heavy with my my pencil. So if you were sketching it, the next step would be to do your inking of the outside lines. And so that's what I'll do now is I'm going to ink in. And as I move, I'm letting my hand move along the paper, using my shoulder to draw. And as I came down here, notice that the line kind of separated a bit. If you have something like this happen, you can color it in. But sometimes if I color it in, then I'm trying to match the line to other parts. So sometimes what I find easier to do is to put a tiny little design in it. And so this was a little kind of accident as that was coming through. And then here, if I don't like, see how this bump's coming out? So it's kind of changing the quality of my line. So what I might do here is either add dots, or as I'm moving through, I might make that line a little more energetic and not quite as clean, but not going to worry with it now. So I'm going to just continue around. You know, this little, oh, my little head here is not super fabulous. Okay, so how's it going, ladies?
Mine's pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay, that does happen.
He is, huh?
He is. They were, yeah, the pregnant seahorses are something else too. I'm like, wow, that's going to be a lot of babies coming out of there. Okay, so we have one pregnant seahorse. So Cynthia, how's your little sea dragon coming over there?
Oh, we're working. I'm just practicing sketching another one. So
that is beautiful. I love to hear that. I don't know if you are noticing the different language you're starting to use as you describe your artwork and your practice.
I can't believe I used the word sketch. I mean, that's just
that was just awesome. And that your practice, it really is. It's that to get in that mindset of it's a practice. Because I think so many times when something's a little bit daunting or we're kind of nervous to try, a lot of times we'll quit before we even give ourselves a chance to.
Look at yours. That is just amazing.
No.
I don't know about this. This is kind of looking mongoose or some. I don't know. I think my snout's a little. I don't know. He's gonna need glitter though. Thank you, Cynthia. But he's gonna need a lot of glitter. I'm pretty sure.
I love it.
Yeah, Pam, I'm not going to show this to anyone and ask for feedback because he is my little precious here.
But once you doodle, everybody's going to be so impressed with the end product, it won't matter.
Right. Well, and you know,
embellish.
I love that, Pam. And the other part too is to always remember, like, as you were creating it, I think that's what you said earlier about just that, you know, the piece or that you're like this, it's kind of nourishing. I'm like, that's what I'm doing here. And if it ends up being kind of, oh my gosh, this one is going to be so much fun.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's devious.
It's Oriental or something.
He's kind of okay.
Cool.
Wait, watch what happened. Okay. And get ready, kids. This is how you start I don't know who said it. Amy, you said it, where you're like, you sink in and then it starts to kind of pull you in. Didn't you say that in the studio chat Sunday?
No, I did
Was
not.
that
Well, I
you?
think so. I don't. It doesn't sound like something I would say.
I don't know. It was like somebody was talking about how like they doodle and then here it comes and you're like, oh, then it just kind of like you start just kind of like doing the next thing. And so I'm cleaning I'm going to take my little pencils off. If you do sketch, this is an important step. If you sketch and pencil, erase the pencil marks before you add watercolor because you can't erase after you watercolor. Okay. Now, this one is at a decision point here. A couple ways you can take this. You could add in all our little doodles, and then you could color it. Or you could add some color, add some doodles, add some more color. So, couple options. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you what I'm feeling called to do is I feel like this one is wanting to be painted. So I'm going to do the orange. I really like this kind of orange, purple, green. And orange, purple, green, those are the secondary colors because red, yellow, blue primaries, orange, purple, green are all secondary. So I'm going to work with those in this little, that's why mine's different. This one has, look at that. That one had a huge little pectoral fin. Look at that guy. Surprise. All right. So here we go. Let's see what happens. I feel like I want to see what happens. I'm putting orange on top of this blue that's already here. So this could be a huge train wreck. So don't follow me until you see what happens. Caution, caution, caution. Okay, so I'm going to put the water on to that orange first. And I'm using a 6. So I used a larger brush. I'm having to move quickly because notice what happens. I'm putting it on top of that blue and green, and the blue and the green is reactivating because it's not waterproof. Okay, so it's getting into my orange a little bit. So I'm having to move that orange quickly. Uh-oh. Let's see what's going to happen here. Pull that one out. And all right, so we have a little bit of the orange. So that's I didn't stay really precious. I've got orange on the outside there. Kind of interesting. I'm going to take some purple on this little tummy part, the keel. And I'm going to bring in this dark. Remember, I contemplated using the purple in the background. So I did not. So I'm going to use him in the foreground, which is what we talk about the object here. And bringing in. Oh, nice. A lot of water. And it's bringing that purple. I'm just going to let that. I'm not going to move the paint very much because I'm going to let that outside have a little shading on it. So it's a little bit lighter here. So now I think I'm going to do this little part here. I'm actually going to put some blue there. And the reason I can do the blue is that it's not connected to the water in any way. I'm going to use that blue. I'm going to be careful putting it next to the orange. So this is, like I said, this is a different style. I don't think we've done something like this where we painted and then we doodle on top of the paint, because we've been doing a lot of doodling and then adding the color to it. So this is, I like to give y'all different options, different things you can do with that. I have no, I was like, what am I doing with my brushes? And so those of you that have the paints, watercolor paints, and the markers, this is one of the ways, like I will pick up a little bit of my watercolor paint, and then you can do, if you want to have it be a little bit darker. So see, I'm just going to drop in a little bit because I want that to. Uh-oh, Amy, I need to give myself a speeding ticket. See my orange dropping into that blue? Can you see it? Yes. And so what you see here, because I'm not filling in the entire, I'm getting different values here. So you see like the little dark part up there, a little dark and a little light. That's what adds in a little bit of interest into it. We can eventually get into the exact way to add shading and with the light hitting it. But for now, we're going to have parts of it will be dark, parts of it will be light. You can put them all on the same side. So if I wanted to do a little here. And Pam, is that coming through?
Yes.
Okay.
Love
That looks so good.
I know it.
So this is, and like I said, you can doodle on top first, which is kind of fun. But then I do encourage you guys to mix it up. So you're trying a lot of different things as we move through. Okay, now, I have an issue here. What color? What should I do with this main body? What do y'all think?
Pink.
Pink? Ooh, all right. Pink.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Oh. I'm super excited about this. Let's do this. Okay. So this is my trusty 685 Tombow that I love. So I'm going to put a little bit on the snout. You know what? This magenta is going to be nice because it can bleed into the orange just fine. It can bleed into the purple. It can go into the blue. So I'm literally going to, let's just drop it in there. And I feel like I'm racing against the clock once I get that marker on there. Do you ever feel that, Pam, where you're like,
Yes.
I'm gonna hurry. Oh my gosh, that's stressing me out.
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. It was crazy.
Right? Okay. So then I'm like, all right. So let's see what happens here. We have a little bit of paint on him. Ooh.
Pretty.
Okay. This little guy's good. Ooh.
It's gonna pop.
He's kind of, I feel like he's like Mardi Gras here. Okay. Let's see what you got.
Pretty.
Look, whoa, oh my God. Y'all, this is okay. Pam, check out. See what happened there? Some of my, that little guy, you know what? And I'm just going to let that be. And the other thing, and yeah, not to harp on that, Pam, but the other thing that I will do sometimes, if my tools are acting a certain way, I will literally just incorporate that into the style of it. So see this? Yep.
That's what I was trying to do. But then I thought, well, why is it that you're able to do that and I'm not? But that's exactly, but I was really quick when I added the water.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what was happening to mine was what you're doing there.
And see how sometimes it'll leave a little spot. And sometimes depending on what it is. So I've also found some of the Tombows and also with some of the super tips, different colors will act differently. And if you've ever worked with paint, this is true. Oranges and yellows will act differently than purples and blues. And we're just going to go, and so what I would do here, so see, this is kind of being a little wonky to me, Pam. I'm lean into it and be like, you know what? We're going to make you more wonky. And so the way I would make him more is I'm going to just drop in. I'm going to take I've got my Tombow here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some here. So this is the Tombow. That's a eco line. So I'm not going to use it because it's super strong and it'll give us a little different look. Now I'm going to put, this is what I was telling. And so it is slower, Pam, but see how we've got that little dot.
Mhm.
And so now what I'm going to do is I can bring this in.
Oh, nice.
See what I'm doing here is now we're just going to lean into that unevenness. And so
Perfect.
I'll bring it in a little more of, let's bring in some here. Nice. I'm really liking that.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So now let's see. Let's play Phone a Friend now. Okay. What color should I make this little dorsal fin down here? What color? Should we continue orange or should we bring a little different color? What do you think?
Yellow.
Oh, some yellow down here. Okay, let's bring them in and let's see what happens. All right. So I've got this little yellow. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Now we do know our yellow is going to be a little bit lighter. So let's see. Ooh, like it. And you noticed I put a little more yellow on because I wanted it to be a little. Oh, I'm liking that. He's like all the colors, right?
So regal.
Mhm.
Ooh, I like, yeah.
And so then like it's all like see the messiness of this and see how we just let that extra water dry so we have all this cool textures. Now some options for these little spaces between. So you can do a couple things. So as I'm looking at those, this is how I might look at it. We have this purple, pink, and our blue here. So these are kind of, we've got cool colors in the blue and the purple. This one kind of gets us into the warmer colors. We've got these warm colors going over here. So you could look at these little spaces in between. Can imagine if we put the blue in between here. So then it's going to take this blue and the orange to where that kind of gives it a unified look here. So that could be an option. We could take this darker pink perhaps and do pink coming in here. And so that's going to let this blue stand out a little bit more. I could see the purple too. So looking at those, like, hey, my first seahorse of the day. I don't know. Somebody give me a color and I'll take it with that. What color for these little spaces between?
Purple.
Okay, let's do it. And notice here's a little fun fact. If you have your Tombows, remember your little bullet tip over here. You've got your little secret weapon. So when you need just a little bit, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to put a little bit at the tip. If I had my dryer here, I would have dried that orange because I know taking the purple next to the orange, we really need that orange to be dry. So I'm going to be a little more precious, not super precious, but I'm not using crazy amounts of water here. Just going to bring it out a little bit. Is anyone else painting or y'all doodling on your seahorses?
I'm doodling.
Okay.
I'm painting.
Painting.
I'm painting.
And then Cynthia, what you up to over there?
Sketching.
Okay. Are you on number 2 or number 3 now?
Of seahorses?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, several.
Excellent. I love that so.
Oh,
I love it. Oh. Ooh.
And she said plural, sketching. It's
I
so
love
exciting.
that. I love
that's right.
Oh, look at that, y'all.
Wait, we gotta see.
Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How does everybody see?
Can you see me?
I can't see hers. I don't know how is
Can you
everybody
see
else?
mine? You can't see mine?
No, I can see yours. I can't
Okay.
see hers.
No, Cynthia, did you hold yours up?
Oh, heavens, no.
Oh, I thought somebody said it looked so cute.
No, 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 no. That was,
Oh my, y'all, my heart needed this exact experience today. Thank y'all so much. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
This
you.
is- okay, now I feel like I'm gonna have to run and dry mine because I want to show y'all another thing. And let me scooch over. So you see what we've been doing. And right now, I'm not going to view what we have so far as finished. Okay. So this is kind of like another base layer. And so I want you to draw your attention back to this little guy. Look
wow.
at how much more extra, which you know what the kids mean. So yes, this little seahorse he's extra, lots of extra. And here's some things just to draw your attention in. See this little darkness here? Notice that darker blue. This came on after I had done like all the center part, came back in, just did a little outline with that super tip, added some more water, and it doesn't blend beautifully, but it kind of adds to the effect of it. See that? These little guys, oh, I like these little bubbles here. So notice we've got these circle, they're bubbles on him, but I also added some bubbles outside of him. So that's how we're going to start to use elements of design to take this lowly little seahorse into this really cool composition. And so that's the other part that I like to bring in to teach you guys as we go along. So you're getting a little color theory, you're getting a little elements of design, principles of design. So it's, you know, to where we can take this, the vehicle of this Seahorse doodle and get access to all kinds of additional things about art that you're like, oh, check that out. All right. So notice here. So we've got bubbles here. So our little round, we've got round here. And then notice what I put here. See these little guys?
Mm-hmm.
I did that because I love little dots, but notice how adding those ties into these circles and ties into these circles. So that's what we call repetition. And so we'll use repetition of different elements to create interest in the artwork. And here are, so we've got our my little scales that I did here, which they did not turn out very well. I didn't like the paint. So what happens when we don't like the paint? We add glitter. So everybody remember that. See those sparkle pops on there? Beautiful, beautiful. This was, and Terry and Pam, I hear you because I'm continuing to play. These are those little converging wave shapes. Just playing with it to see what happens. And then when I painted it, I literally just hit a couple little green tombos, did some little yellow in to see kind of what was going on. Notice the outline that I did. So this is something you could do with if you use the platinum pen or a very thin tombow, you could, thin micron, you can add a messy outline, but this one was Sparkle Pop. And now listen carefully. These Sparkle Pop pens are not waterproof. So what does that mean?
And
Maybe mine are.
The very last thing.
The very last thing, or let's think of it in a different way. These Sparkle Pop pens are not waterproof. So what could we do with them?
Smudge and add and smudge.
You can. So this is a Sparkle Pop pen. This is not the last thing I'm going to do because you're right, Cynthia. If we did not want to smudge them, we would put them on very last. But if we want to take what we know about this tool, that it is not waterproof, and we wanted to put some little light glitter all over this space, what we would do is we would color in a little bit here. And we know it's not waterproof, so we're going to add water to it. And then we're just going to move that glitter.
Oh.
So then we take, and this is why when I say, this is why we started Journal Jumpstart with playing with our tools. This is why Pam and I are having this ongoing conversation about the paper and like, what is it doing? So see this? So now we took this little guy, we spread the little glitter out. Oh, he's going to be cool now. So yeah, so Cynthia, this could be the last thing you put on, but look, oh, it's going to be this really faint little shimmer.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Did a beautiful. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's another way to bring those in a different order. Let's see. Oh, like I'm
I
kind of,
love that.
and this is,
Very cool.
I'm going all completely out of order. This is the Uni UM153. And my purple's not really dry, so this isn't going to dry really white. It will merge with the purple, so it'll kind of be like little lavender dots. So if your paint or your paper is not fully dry. And Pam, that's why I was asking you how long about the platinum pen, because sometimes you'll feel like the paint is dry, especially on the watercolor paper. If you've used a lot of water, the interior of that paper can still be a little bit wet. So sometimes
I've given it quite a bit of time, I think, but I could be wrong with my memory.
yeah. So these are just things for us to be think about and to notice.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh. Now I'm obsessed with these little white dots. Now I want to put little white dots everywhere.
But like that platinum, the test today, you had given the same amount of time as I did with mine, and it still bled.
I think that's going to be an ink thing. So yeah, we'll have an ongoing dialogue about that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll just be more.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Look, and then I will get on a kick of something. And so this one now, I can't quit making these little white dots. So look at that on the purple.
Oh,
That's so cute. I like that.
Okay.
And some people would look at, because you can see this one has a lot more green kind of showing through. It's okay. If you look at real pictures or, actual photographs sometimes they look almost translucent, like you can kind of see through them a bit. So that piece, then let's talk. Let's give him a little more interest, because you could leave it, depending on what your background looks like. So I saw some seahorses, the way the background was painted, it almost looked like you could see into like this little light shining behind them. For mine, I'm going to give him a little, I'm going to do a little kind of shadow-ish type thing. So I'm coming in, this is a super tip. So you could also do a Tombow end. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. And then I'm going to just I'm adding the water. And I'm just going to bring that out just a smidge, kind of smush it a bit. So what you'll see here, this will start to, this will give our little seahorse a little definition, stand out from the background a little more, or he won't, and then I'll have to doodle something on him. Okay. Oh my gosh, y'all, it's 4:30 already. Holy cow. Sorry, it took like a lot longer than are you okay with that? If anybody needs to pop out, just let me know. Okay. Ooh, okay.
Beautiful.
Now with this here, like I'm giving y'all like a little quiz along the way. Y'all all gonna pass, but I am quizzing y'all. So looking at this, so I've been using this blue. See how I added a little bit there. Something doesn't quite look right. What else? And I'm going to limit it to, where else should I put some of this blue? Because it looks like it's kind of like not quite finished. Where would I add some?
I would add it, keep going down. So
Okay.
fin, maybe around the head or something. Add
Okay.
around.
So
Mhm.
it's two things. So you're seeing like down here, this is like, help me, help me, help me. Something's going on.
Mhm.
And then Amy, I heard you say something about his head. Is that right?
Yeah, I might would add some up there.
And here's
Just-
what you're naturally seeing. This is, okay, if we have darkness that is on the object, that is shading. Okay, so the darkness is on. But if you have a shadow, it's off of the object. So this blue, our brain is kind of recognizing it as a bit of a shadow. So if that would mean the light's coming over here and it's catching on the skin, and there'd be that shadow here. So what your eye is telling you, there's something that's missing down here, but it's also missing right under his little chin. So let's test that out and see if that actually is true. So I'm going to bring in our little blue, and we're going to put just a little tiny bit right there. So let's see. And I put that so close. I'm hoping the pink is dry. And I'm going to, all right. So let's see if this helps him. Okay, just smush. All right. So Amy, what do you think? Does that help him?
Yeah, it does.
Does.
So you see that, like, your eye knows. And so what I'm hoping that you learn too is the words that and concepts to connect with it. Because so many times if you're looking at something and you're new, you're like, it just looks messed up. I don't know why. But as you learn what to look for and you learn the language of it, then you're like, then you can figure out how to correct it. All right, so let's hop down here. Let's see. I'm going to put a little tiny bit under this guy. And let's do a little bit here. You know what? I'm going to do a little bit on this tail too. Let's see what happens here. Okay. But Pam, I am panicky though. I'm like,
I'm telling you, I was just getting ready to say, you got to hurry. Oh gosh.
like, hurry, hurry, hurry. Now, the good thing, here's another way to look at that is because you have to hurry on that first one, you are not going to be super precious. You're like, water on it is more important than precious. Okay. Now we can come back and let's move stuff around. Okay. We're going to scooch that. Oh, that's kind of nice. And so with this, we're not getting the perfect way the shadow should be. We're just kind of like a little darkness, kind of a little outline, but look at the difference in that.
Mm-hmm.
So you see now it looks a little more complete. Oh my gosh, we've got a hot mess going on down here. We had a little wreck with the water. So we're going to fix that with some doodles. We'll doodle all over that and it'll look much better. That's the other wonderful thing. Like if you're doing this and something ends up like, see this look, man, close up, it looks kind of like it really needs help. What you do is then you turn it into like, see a doodle like this. See how I can just color it in and I can cover up a lot with those little blocks. That's probably what would happen on his little tail. But so there, look at the difference in just that little bit of darkness to kind of make him pop a little more. Right?
Nice.
And now, ladies, seriously, you can infinitely like change this. So you have options. So let's say you color. You could take your microns and do the black doodling on him. Awesome. You can take some more of our little sparkle pops. Oh my gosh. I know this isn't coming on the camera very well, but look at that one. See how sparkly it is?
No, we can't.
Oh man. Okay. I'm going to try to figure out because this one,
Which one is it?
this one right here is the one I put the sparkle pops and added the water. So everybody needs to do that on your paper so you can see how amazing it is. And then just imagine that on my seahorse is beautiful. You can also, I'm going to do on this little yellow down here. I'm going to doodle with the sparkle pops instead of the microns. And Cynthia, I know you've got sparkle pops there, don't you, Cynthia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So see, check this out. Ooh, this is gonna be fun.
Oh.
So instead of using the black, and you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even going in between the sections. I'm just going to do this really big.
Mm.
Mhm. So, and what I would do here, let's look at this. So we've got this orange and the yellow. I'm going to pull orange out here on these little guys. So I'm going to make these three different than the other ones. And then I'm going to add a little orange. Oh yeah, check that out. Oh, that's interesting. Except here,
Oh, it's
I don't
pretty.
know. See,
So cute.
and then here's the thing of like, if I don't love that, like as I'm looking at it now, I'm like, And if I don't like it, remember, I can add water to it and it just becomes kind of orangey glittery and I can do something else to it. So that's the beauty of doodling with the sparkle pops, and you can make a second choice. Another tool you have, just to let you be aware of this, and just like the sparkle pops, if you are sure you're not going to add any more water, you can take the bulleted end of that tombow, and because it's the same color that we made the background with, it is going to coordinate beautifully. So see, this is we used the blue for the watercolor. And now when I use the blue to create those dots, it's absolutely perfect. Which rarely happens in one of my doodle things, that something turns out absolutely.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool too, to bring that in. Yeah, so and then you can start to add like little plants and things around, because seahorse will need plants, otherwise they die because they get exhausted. They need something to hang on to. Cynthia, how's the sketching going?
It's going fine. Thank you.
Excellent. I like to
I just look at yours and it's just so marvelous. It makes me so happy.
Well, you are very kind. Because I'm looking at it today. I'm like, ooh. Well, and look, okay, these are like, look how different they look. Like this one with
Cute.
you're like, oh, I don't know. We'll see. Man, I was going to town on it. This was totally before I found out that's like the smallest piece on their body, because I was like, ooh, I like that, to put that one up. Okay, Amy, how's it going?
It's going good. There's what I've done.
Oh
so
my
far.
gosh. Wow.
Pretty. Oh, that's beautiful.
Awesome.
I kind of don't love the tail, but I messed up on it, so I was trying to fix it.
Oh, wait.
But once it's all done, nobody's going to notice it.
Wait, you know what? Show him again. Bring him up and tell us what this is the other
It's just
part.
I got a little too.
Oh, is it the
The
shape
shape's
of him?
not perfect, but that's okay.
I think he's cool.
Are you
I
going
like
to
the
paint him
eye.
as well, or are you doodling only?
I'm just doodling right now. I probably will paint over him.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else want to show us what you're working on over there?
Here's what I got so far.
Okay,
My
wait.
pregnant guy.
Oh,
Wait, let me spotlight your pregnant guy. Okay.
I love him.
I do too.
Oh, oh my gosh, he is. Show him one more time. I gotta take
And
his.
can you see where my ink spilt? It just,
Oh, just put some white dots on that. He'll be good.
okay.
Yeah. So cute. Okay, I love that background. That's that's going to be cool. And then you can bring like plant things. You can look at your little doodles because you got little starfish. This top one on your little warm-up page, that little top one that shows like the little plants with the little rocks and bubbles. And there's a couple others that have like just little ocean like a little aquatic plants. So
Can we see your finished one again?
can we see your sketches?
No?
Okay. Pam, Pam, are you gonna will you
No.
share yours or no?
Yeah, I
I
will.
just wanted to see how you did the florals and but yeah.
Pretty.
Oh, I can see.
Oh,
that's nice.
I'm gonna embellish more, but I just was doing a little bit while I was watching you. So
That look, wait, show him again. What did you use for the dark? Are those markers on there? What'd you do?
no, they're
Are those the prangs?
no, I had already had in my little arsenal the Prima watercolors.
One of these little sets?
This
Oh, aren't they cute? Currants. So is that like
Yeah. and it's got a lot of blues. So I had started with this other and I just started getting too many supplies. And so this
Wonderful.
allows me to watercolor without my stress. So
and that darkness of it, the white on top of that is
yeah.
oh my goodness, that's going to be a pop there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So
Yeah.
I traced it. I used my I had some tracing paper. So, I've got to figure out how to cover up some of the those lines, but I erased most of them. So it's a learning process.
Nice. Show him one more time.
Really sweet.
That the little
He's
his
cute.
little snout is so
Oh, I didn't like his snout. That's so funny you like
I
it.
think it's so delightful.
I like his snout.
Oh,
Look at this
thank
one.
you.
Mine
This
looks
kind of looks like all the ones I've seen in the zoo. They have tiny little snouts.
Oh,
yeah.
you
See,
guys, thank you. This is my first seahorse, so I'm very, very pleased.
yeah,
But
that little tiny snout looks fantastic.
wow, thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of like Cynthia, I can't show mine now. I'm a little like awkward now. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this one. Eek.
No.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it because it's like I said, I feel like kind of all right. And what I will also do is I'll include pictures in the like follow up of mine. How's that? I'll scan it in or take pictures.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Oh, you know what you were going to include was your friend, or there was
Oh,
another
Heidi.
website?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh my
I
God.
just remembered that because you were talking about the color blending or something.
Yeah, because the way and hers, she has a very muted palette, but the way there's so many little segments. And so when she paints, I've watched her palette like is this big, but she will just be mixing and just randomly go paint. And then she'll come back and she paints not on paper, but she paints on clay board. So it doesn't like absorb. So it like sits on top and it's stunning. So yeah.
Label.
Yeah. Did you take her class at Lucky Star, Amy? Heidi's
I
class?
did.
Man, that clay stuff is hard to paint on.
Yeah, I really struggled.
Yeah, but her stuff it really is.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. So
Are you going to be teaching at Lucky Star, Roxanne?
I think so. I haven't heard from Lisa. I've got a couple ideas of classes that I want to do. I want to do Amy, I don't know if I can do the jelly printing, but I was like, some stamp carving might be fun. Or I've seen this technique a lot of people are doing. It's like squeegee paint, but then you doodle on top of it, which I'm just like, I watch the videos. I'm like, I'm going to end up pulling my stuff out to do that. So yeah, so I'm not for sure what, but hopefully I will be able to pitch something that she would like.
So what did you do before? What did you mention before that you might do besides before the squeegee?
Oh, stamp carving. Has somebody already done that at Lucky Star?
Stamp carving.
Yeah,
I think so.
you have this little tool, and you just you like make your design, and you kind of scoop it out, and then you got your little stamp you make. And I was like, I think the squeegee one would be a lot more fun and a lot easier because
Yeah.
I was like the stamp carving one. I was like, oh, I don't know. Let me see if I can figure out a way for us to do it like simple and easy and get really cool stuff. But I'm pretty sure we could do that with the squeegee because you like when you put the paint on and you squish it and you can put another one and you see through it, somehow it turns, it's like this magic and it looks like it'd be super easy to do. So
Huh.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm for all of it.
But then too, man, the jelly printing is a blast. But then it's so easy to make so much of those jelly printed papers, but if you don't have something to do with them. So I was like,
Oh.
if we did that, I'd want for us to like doodle on top of them or turn them into something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's one. And then what is it, Cynthia? So I'll take out this one. So I'll put both of these in the little follow-up. So you'll have two to look at. How's that?
So cute.
Oh, I love it.
But look, what is the matter with this guy? Look, after seeing Pam's snouts, now these this one just looks terrified of something.
I love them.
And then this one, yeah, this one is very exotic over here. So
Yes.
How are you supposed to put the eyeball in there? Is there a secret to where you put like the little dot? Because every time I always put one in, it always looks like it's like not good.
the secret to the eyeballs is the lightness in them. So, like, let's see, let's make a little eyeball up here. So if you're going to put a little eyeball, like this big eyeball. So 2 ways you would do it is it's that little tiny little white space.
Oh.
So that's the little, so it's like having to have that little black
Oh.
lightness in them. Because like they look terrifying if they don't have it. They look very, yeah. So the difference in if we were just to do these little, you can see the difference in.
Yep. Oh, wow. Thank you.
So yeah, so that little a little tiny bit. Well,
Goes a long way.
yeah. So I'm like, because yeah, the other one just, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Light it really is like amazing to do. Oh, look. Ooh, I wonder what I should have written down what this was because look at this one's got blue and green in it. Really cool. I have no idea what those were.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So here's the platinum pen as the last thing you add. So see these little like just little doodles and stuff. They look okay, but if you take your platinum pen and you just do like little, oh, I love these. So it's just little. And see the difference in that line compared to this. I think that was probably a Sharpie I was doing. So to add that, or to take it, you can also do just some little flicks on the inside. And this is the modified, like the little converge ones.
Mm.
So this gets into like a little inking technique there. And this is the same thing. Notice where we were doing the Seahorse had some shading on one side of him and not on the other. So you can also do that by adding little flicks on one side to have a little bit in there. But yeah, this little guy. But I would add black on everything that I do. So paint straight out of the tube and lots of black behind it. So I have to stretch every now and then.
Oh, so cute.
So cute.
Oh my God. So yeah, so that's the let's see, where's our little I pulled my sea turtle out of here. Oh, here's some other little ways to practice. So my friends that are practicing with your tombos and practicing your like brush control and water control. So Pam, these are things where I'll just like draw things and then practice like coloring in to see if I can control it within a space. So that's one thing. You can do like little grids where you're practicing alternating in there. And I'll put this in the follow-up for you guys too. This one is to put the shading outside the shape, the little watercolor outside, and then play with, can you make it dark on parts of it? And so that's what I was doing here, where you just flood it and pull that water out somehow. Oh, look at me. Look, Amy, I was trying to make a pattern. That's as far as I got. I tried. Here, look, I tried some little things there.
Yeah. Some of them, like those are hard to make. That little envelope looking thing. Those are hard to do. That's why I was like, I wonder if there's a tutorial on.
These are, and that little one. Yes. Let me get a little. So yeah, this little envelope, little optical guy. Yeah, he is. So this one, it helps. You know how we were looking carefully at our swirls, you know, which direction you come into it. That's the key on this little guy. So there's this little circle in the center.
Yeah, I did the center first.
Right.
But then it worked out so much better.
So you have to come in and you come around on there, and then you just keep going the same way. So I'm going to come in from this side, and then you have to curve around him. And so then you're coming. So yeah, you have to start to look at and keep going the same direction in. And then two, you have to, and this is where the artists that do this, they're very precise about where that line hits that center, because then you can get this wonderful little, you can see how,
it looks like a pinwheel almost.
Yes. And so that's about the max of how many I can do before I'm like, you know what, let's just alternate filling them in. So know yourself, right? Know yourself. So yeah, this one I was like, oh, I can do that. But yeah, it takes a lot of precision. And so then I end up doing something like this where I'm like, I'll just put circles on it. Oh my gosh, ladies. Well, I'm going to put this. So let me make sure I have everything. The Ocean Doodle Pinterest board, the info on the light pad, Heidi's art, finished my 2 seahorses, and then this little sample little guy here. Is that everything? Anything else you guys need?
I think that's it
For now, huh?